Hi, and welcome to the Own Your Peace podcast. I'm your host, Andy Thewison, and today it's all about health and fitness and how that ties into human design and astrology. Two things you probably never thought about going together, but they absolutely do. So I'm dusting off my personal trainer hat and diving into my new hat of human design and astrology and kind of weaving these two worlds together and helping us to step into really taking good care of our human bodies. At the end of the day, we all have these soul missions, these soul contracts that we're here to perform to raise everybody's collective consciousness and to raise the vibration of this planet. But to do that, it starts at the very beginning, and that starts with taking care of our human bodies and really learning how to amplify our results by aligning them with the best case scenario for our energetic type. So it's a lot to go over. I'm really excited about this. It's something that I saw when I was a personal trainer full time was that I would create these nutritional plans, and what would work for one person didn't quite have the same effect for somebody else. And I always thought there was some type of disconnect. The science is there. If this is working for you, this should work for you. To be honest, I was a little judgmental. Maybe they're not following the plan I'm telling them to. But then, I started to see those things in myself play out. And I knew that there's more to the story than just the science. We had to learn the energetics of the body. And that's where human design and astrology both play a really kind of interesting part to the whole story. So we're going to dive into it. I'm really excited to kind of weave this practical advice with some spiritual advice to really help you get in the best shape of your life and to really enjoy more energy, more vitality within the body. When I started making these shifts as a projector, so much changed for me. So I'm hoping in part some wisdom on you so that kind of helps you as well. Every energetic type moves so differently and has different requirements for it. So let's start with kind of understanding there's two really groups of energetics. So we have our sacral beings who have a defined sacral. So that would be our generators and manifesting generators. So when I'm talking about the sacral, I'm talking about the sacral chakra. And in human design, if it is defined or closed, that means that is colored in on your chart. And that means you're a generator or a manifesting generator. And you have access to energy every day. Every day you wake up with a full tank of gas. And throughout your day, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to leak your energy so you're exhausted all day long, or you're going to be doing things that continually refill your tank all day. And those are things, obviously, that bring you joy, that light you up, and you create more energy doing those things. But you have this consistency to your energy and it's always there for you. So, obviously, with consistent energy, you are going to have different needs energetically than somebody who has an undefined sacral. And our undefined sacrals, or I like to say non-sacral beings, are our reflectors, our manifestors, and our projectors. And on their charts, you'll notice that their sacral chakra is white, or it is undefined or open. So they do not wake up every morning with a full tank of gas. Every day it is hit or miss. It's going to ebb and flow. So they cannot count on consistent energy day to day. So some days they're going to have more, some days they're going to have less. So they're going to have a different experience with exercise, the sacrals over here. So I want you to understand that first. So let's start with our sacral beings. And what I have discovered over the years of coaching and working with several different energetic types and what really moved the needle more for them. So when we look at manifesting generators, they have the highest amount of energy out of any of the energetic types. So they wake up with a lot of energy. So I have found that manifesting generators actually do better with working out in the morning. And by doing so, it's kind of almost like you're like burning off the excess fuel so that you can focus more throughout your day. So this really ties into if you have manifesting generator children as well. So if you have kids that are having a hard time focusing at school and specifically manifesting generators, it's just because they have so much energy in their body doing some movement first thing in the morning will kind of almost burn off that excess. So they're more easily able to focus throughout the day. So I would recommend running around the block or jumping on the trampoline, some type of movement in the morning if you have kids for sure. And then as an adult, that can really help you burn off that excess so you're able to more focus throughout your day. And I have found that that works really well for our manifesting generators. Now for generators, you also have that full tank of gas, but for you, I have noticed for most of my generators, they do better working out in the evenings and kind of almost with the energy or the intention of burning up what's left in the tank. Because for both manifesting generators and generators, for you guys to get the best sleep at night, you really need to burn out your resources. So you're going to bed exhausted. So if you're going to bed and you're still have energy in the tank, it's going to be harder for you to calm down and go to sleep. You've got to exhaust it. I hate to compare you to puppies, but you almost have that puppy energy where it has to burn off the energy so that they can rest. And that is true for both of you. So for both of you, you really do need this energy to be moved throughout your body because you have so much of it. And of course, you are going to encounter things throughout your day that leak that energy or people who siphon that energy. If you're able to be really good at keeping your energy and not allowing people to take that from you, and that's when we get to bubbling up and those protections, that's a whole nother podcast. We'll get into it. But really keeping and controlling your energy, that's yours. Those are some things that you can do to really make the most of that. When we talk about actual movement, manifesting generators really need to listen to their sacral authority. That means really tuning into your body and what does your body need for movement that day. And it is going to be different every day. Manifesting generators get bored very easily. So they need to be constantly changing it up. If you go to the gym and you have the same routine every day, you're going to get really bored. Your muscles are going to get very bored and you're not going to get the results that you're hoping for. And this is another really important lesson. This is for anybody, really, but for generators of vengeance is really making that connection with the body and divorcing yourself that exercise needs to look a certain way. It has to be this one thing or this one thing. When we listen to our bodies will tell us what type of movement it needs. And sometimes it's going to look a little bit different than we think. So allow yourself to understand that maybe today's walking, tomorrow's yoga, then maybe it's boxing, and allowing yourself to move and change things up. That is the most important thing. And for manifesting generators, if you guys get bored, you're not going to stick with any fitness routine. I'm sure you're listening here, nodding your heads because you signed up for like a 12-week program and it was a lot of the same movements or you did the same workouts over and over again. I'm looking at you, Beachbody, with the same videos every 5 days. And that is not going to work for you because if you're getting bored, guess what? You're not going to keep up with the routine. You're going to drop it and you're not going to keep up. So make sure that you are pivoting, you're changing what sounds joyful to me, what sounds fun for me to do as movement today, and not get it in your head that you have to stick to some like gym bro routine. It can be weightlifting one day, then it can be cycling another day. It can be going to a Pilates class. Allow yourself to just be very present and not too planned out with your fitness plan, because the more you allow yourself to be really in pocket and in moment and being super present, you're going to be able to tap into what your body needs. And the more we listen to our bodies, that's when the really cool results come. And we get that dream body that we've been working for because we stick with the routine for one. And second of all, we know what our body needs to get to where we want to be. So manifesting generators really listen and shift and change, and don't allow yourself to get bored. Allow it to be different every day. Don't feel like you have to subscribe to Mondays or leg days, Tuesdays or ab day. You know what I mean? Don't get so hang up on keeping with some type of strict routine. Now, for my generators, you guys need to really have fun, more playful movements, more joyful movements. What's exciting to you? What sounds fun to you? Really, again, going back to that sacral yes of like, ooh, cycling sounds really fun to me today. I'm going to follow that sacral yes. Or ooh, today, you know what? I just want some delicious stretches. I just want to take it easy. That's what my body needs. So getting in the habit of asking yourself every day, what is my medicine? How do I need to move my body today? And listening to that and being okay with it not being some prescription that someone's put out there. Listen to your body, listen to those sacral yeses. And if you're having a hard time connecting to your body because so many of us are disconnected from our bodies and being able to feel into our bodies what's a yes and a no, that's where muscle testing can be a great place to start rebuilding that trust. You're just not sure if it's a yes or no in your body. Go to that muscle testing. I will put the video again how I did that, and then trust it. So, okay, I feel like it's a yes, but I don't quite know. Then go to the muscle testing, do the muscle testing, and then you're starting to build trust in that knowing what that feels like in your body. And then you can kind of like almost like training wheels allow the muscle testing to kind of fall off for my sacral beings, because you guys do have that yes within your body. For my non-sacral folks, muscle testing is going to probably be a little bit more reliant and helpful in the long term because you don't have that sacral response. You have other things that will give you answers, but it's not quite so in the body, if that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. Okay, now moving on to my non-sacral beings. You guys have energy that is inconsistent. Every day is going to be different. So it's really important for you to listen to where you're at that day. There are days where you're going to have a surge of energy and you'll be able to do more. And then there's other days where it's just not there and you're going to have to slow it down and do something a little bit differently that day. But every single human on this planet has to move their bodies in some way every day. We're energetic humans and we have so much energy within our body, whether we're sacral or not. It's just the flow of frequency and vibration. So moving every day is so important so we can move that energy, especially when we have emotions that are moving through our body. We're using exercise to move those through. So everyone absolutely needs to do something to move their body every day. It's important, but it's going to look a little different, based on if you're a sacral versus a non-sacral. So let's look at the very top at reflectors. Reflectors have no energetic centers. So you are the ones who really need to get softly. And that looks like doing more yin movements. That's doing softer movements, more yoga, more Pilates, more stretching, more walking, those types of things that really feel good to the body. Because remember, as a reflector, you really need to pay attention to what you feel like. So if you go to a class and the vibe is off in the class, get out of there. It's not the place for you. If you walk into a class and it feels really good to you, that's a place where it's going to be very welcoming for you. When we tie in astrology, there are a lot of fire signs that need bold movement. So if your reflector has a lot of fire energy on your chart, you are going to have a little bit more of a drive to get your body moving. But again, really pay attention to where you're at because you have this whole wide open, energetic center. So it's easy for you to tap into everybody else's energy and overdo it. And then you're tired, you're overwhelmed, and it's a lot on your body. It's very taxing on your body. So your body might hold on to weight in a way that it hasn't before because it's in stress because you're overusing it. That's one thing I have found with non-sacral beings is when they push themselves too hard, instead of having the intended results, they end up holding weight as opposed to losing it. So something really important to recognize in that process. And again, it might change with the moon cycles where, the moon's in Aries or the moon's in Sag or Leo. You might notice that you have a little bit more playful energy and a little bit more bold energy because of that. So pay attention. Pisces, you might be wanting more quiet, softer movements because that Piscean energy is really more of a flow. That would be a great day for yoga flows. So pay attention to your own rhythms and stop trying to hang out to everybody else's. And I do recommend for non-sacral beings for you to work out in private or in the comfort of your own home, for the reason of, because we have that open sacral, it's really easy for us to tie into everybody else's sacral energy in a room. And then we have this tendency to, we take it in and we amplify it. So we are actually overdoing it pretty easily in a gym area because, again, like we're taking everybody else's energy, we're amplifying it. So now we have more energy than everybody else. But again, it's not ours. So we have a tendency to overdo it. So something to keep in mind if you go to classes as a non-sacral being. Just keep it in mind. If you do love going classes because you're a social being and that's really good to you, absolutely go, but just take a minute and bubble up. We'll talk about energy containment in another episode, but really paying attention to your own energy so you're not tapping in too much to everybody else's and overdoing it. Okay, so reflectors, again, vibe checkers. what feels good to you. Like, really pay attention to what your thing is and really monitor your energy level so you're not overdoing it. Okay, now moving on to my manifestors. Now, my manifestors are the only non sacral energetic type that can actually produce huge surges of energy. And you guys get huge surges of energy when you're in an urge cycle. So all of a sudden, you'd be at like 0 to 50% energy. An urge comes in, and all of a sudden, you're at 200%. So you have all this crazy excess energy. That's when I want you to go hard on working out. That's when I want you to lift the heavy weights, go do the running, do all the things, because you have so much excess energy, it's like you've got to burn through because you're not used to having so much of that. And then you're able to really focus on implementing and working on getting those urges done, seeing them through because you're focusing that energy with movement. Another thing I need manifestors to understand is because your guys have peace and anger as your guidelines for staying in alignment. So you do have this anger element to you when you're feeling boxed, when you're feeling caged, when you feel like you're being held back by life. And when you're feeling backed by life, that's when that anger comes in. And anger is one of those emotions we need to physically move out of our body. So you're going to have times where you have all this pent up anger in you. And that's when I want you guys doing boxing, going to rage rooms, doing some type of movement. Maybe it's running for you, some type of movement to move that anger out. It is imperative for you because anger, when it gets stuck in the body, can cause a lot of dis-ease within the body. I really do recommend some type of anger movement for my manifestors. I have two manifestor girls. So I want them out there hitting the bag when they feel that frustration, when they feel that anger as part of their experience. We all have anger. And if we do have anger within our bodies, it is important to move it out and allow it to do so. And usually you need some type of physicality to move anger out. So those are some things to think about for my manifestors. Now moving on to my projectors. Last but not least, projectors, again, you guys have these ebbs and flows. You're not going to have those surges of energy like a manifestor where you're at 200%. You might have energy ebbs up where you do have a more energetic day, especially if you have a defined ego or will center, which is part of that heart chakra, and also the emotional center, which is again part of that solar plexus. And then, of course, the root chakra. All of those can produce energy. So if you have any of those defined, you are what's considered an energetic projector. So you do have access to more energy than those that don't have those defined. So keep that in mind. It's like a double-edged sword because you do have more energy, but it also, you rely on it a little too much because it's not sacral energy. So you can have a tendency to overdo it because when you're in a high with your emotions, or when you feel driven, or when you feel, that get up and go momentum from that root, it will give you those surges of energy. So again, it really is, you're going to have to be better at monitoring where you're at on an energetic level because you do have these kind of like cheat codes, if you will, with that extra energy from those centers. So keep in mind the really paying attention to where you are actually at with my projectors, especially my energetic projectors. I'm an energetic projector. Absolutely. There are times where I will overdo it and I'm like, oh, I should have just like listened and took the breaks, even though I felt like I didn't need them, because a couple of days later, I'm useless because I overdid it when I felt like I had a little bit more energy than I actually did. And I didn't really honor still including rest in my days. These are things I'm still learning and deconditioning from. I had 30 plus years of not understanding how this system works. So I did overdo it a lot. And I think that's a lot of where my health issues came from. For those of you who are new here, I have, a few autoimmune issues, and I can guarantee you those are from years of me overdoing it as a personal trainer and fitness influencer. I did 2-3 hours of working out every day. I trained for a marathon. Oh my goodness, looking back at it, I'm exhausted, but I really do believe that as I got older, it's all those years of overdoing it that have caused my body to be in the place that it is. So actually what has really helped me to heal my body, and I think this is true for a lot of non-sacrals, is to prioritize rest. I actually after everything hit the fan with all my health issues, I really did take a huge dial back where I did more walking, more stretching, and I really didn't work out in the traditional sense that I had in the past. And I had to do that for like a whole year for my body to really recover and heal. And now I'm just barely starting to like work back into weights and more intense movements. I still keep it really soft. I'm more yoga based, more light weights, and more resistance bands. And those work really well for me. And I have noticed that once I figured out that I needed more rest and that I went to more yin type movements. And really, again, at the end of the day, everybody is so different. So I do encourage getting blood work done, figuring out where you're at on a hormonal basis, because that is such a huge key too, especially for us women and aging women, perimenopause. I'm looking at you. Those things are so important. So once I dialed in my hormones and figured that out, and then I dialed back my energy where I wasn't overdoing it every day, that is really when things started to turn around for me. And now I can say beautifully at age 45, I have the best looking body I've ever had. I have more energy than I've had in a very long time. And I really do feel like I've turned a corner in my overall health. I just had labs done. So I'm interested to see what those come back saying. But I do really attribute that to me switching from really pushing myself so hard for so many years and really just being softer in my movement. So for my projectors, really find movements that feel softer for you. As a personal trainer, as you get older, especially as you hit perimenopause, you need to have weights included as part of it. But have fun with how you use those weights. Like, don't have it feel like it has to be a certain way. So I use weights 2 or 3 times a week. And that really has helped with my muscle retention and also my bone health. So those are things that we want to keep in mind. I do say listen to your body, but also there are some key things from a scientific standpoint that we want to continue to include in our movements. So yes, walk, do the yoga, do the Pilates, but also lift some weights, lift some heavy things. It's good for the body. And again, as we get older, that is such a key insight. So some things I always want to keep in mind when we're talking about health in the body. I want you to have a doctor included in your conversation, whether that be a functional medicine doctor. I recommend that because they really do straddle the lines between the science and more of that holistic health. Another really great option is doing the hair scans. I have two really beautiful gals that I'm really good friends with, and they both do the hair scans and they're amazing. And that's a really another great tool that you can use to understand what the body is lacking as far as supplementation goes and where you're needing to fill in some gaps. So once we dial in the nutrition, once we dial in what type of movement works best for our bodies, that's when we start to see the needle move. And it moves in really beautiful ways. Another really important thing, and it was a game changer for me in understanding this, is for us as non sacral beings, if we overexhaust ourselves, we actually have a harder time falling asleep. So we need to wind down and kind of slow ourselves down for bedtime. So not being overexhausted. So if I'm out with friends and I'm up till like 1 or 2, it will actually take me longer to fall asleep. You would think, logical mind would say, oh my goodness, I should be exhausted. I should fall right to sleep. But I actually will be so wound up that it takes me a while to wind back down because I'm over my limit and it is hard for me to fall asleep. One of the most important things I've done that I've changed in my nighttime routine, I love to read at night. That's how I do wind down. So Kelly knows when the Kindle comes out, it's sexy librarian time. So that means stop talking, let me read and let me wind down and fall asleep. That's kind of my signal to him because as he's a manifesting generator, so he has a lot of excess energy. And his way of letting go of that excess energy is talking to me and talking my ear off, which is great. I love our conversations. But as soon as I'm like, okay, I love you, it's time for me to like settle down, I'll have that candle out and we call it sexy librarian time where you just admire, don't touch. And that's worked out well for me. So that's kind of been one thing that's helped me as a non-sacral being get really good sleep at night is having a routine where I'm winding down and allowing myself to kind of rest before I go to bed. So something to keep in mind as a non-sacral being is that you're going to have some type of wind down routine because if you wait till you're overly tired, it is a losing game, my friend, with getting sleep. And especially as we get older, these things I think ranch up a little bit, rank up. Anyways, you know what I mean. So, anyways, those are some things to really think about between the difference between being a sacral and a non-sacral being. I want you to really get comfortable asking your body what movement is and stop listening to fitness influencers or people online You are the guru of you. You know what your body needs. And if your body is really wanting to walk, do that. Again, listen to your body. And then the only thing I will say is do add some weights. Just lifting things is so important to retain muscle as we get older. And any over 30-year-old knows that protein is king. We need to keeping our protein upping that on a day-to-day basis. It's like protein's a full-time job at this point, just to keep that muscle tone so that as I continue to age, I do have the same functionality I've always had. That goes right hand in hand with keeping muscle retention, and it takes protein and lifting weights. So those are science-based things. I'm not going to discount those. I'm not going to let you off the hook on that. But again, everybody's different. Listen to what works for you, my friends. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to give you some helpful hints that overall really work for everybody. So if you at this point, you're like, okay, Andy, those are some really great things. What's next? What do I do next? Start. That's the beautiful thing about human design and astrology. It is a test. It is a playful thing. Don't take everything too seriously. Allow yourself to be like, okay, I listened to Andy's podcast about health and wellness. I don't really know if I believe it. I've been pushing myself for 2 hours every day, and I feel like that's what I want to be doing. Okay, cool. Try it. It's magic when we dial in these things in the right way. So that's my hope for you. So some helpful things as we end this. If you want more, this month in the Your Best Life Club, it's all about health in the body. So I will be releasing extended content within the Best Life Club every week. The first week is a journal with a guide for fitness for the entire month, workouts for every day based on my life as a personal trainer. And then the next week, I'm releasing all my guides that I've ever created and sold, all within the Best Life Clubs. That library will be available to you. That's what's coming in the second week of this month within the club. The third week, I'm doing a live coaching call where I'm going over macros and how to calculate your own macros based on your body type, and then also diving even deeper on human design and astrology. A couple key components that I like to look at. We're going to talk about it all on that live coaching call. And then the last, I'm going to walk you through a beautiful yoga flow and meditation to really connect with that body. So, because like I said, when we get the soul and the body working together, that's when magic happens. So that's what's happening in the club this month. I just want to give that little bit of a tribute to what's happening so that if you want more support, that's available to you within the club. So those are some things that we've got going on there. So I offer personalized macro plans that based on your information and what you tell me. And then I go over your astrology chart and your human design, and I give you some more key elements to look at. Those are some ways that I can support you moving forward with your health and wellness. Again, follow me on social media because I do drop a lot of extra hints and helpful tips and tricks along the way. I've been doing this for a lot of years. And again, health and wellness was where I started, and I do have my personal trainer's license and nutrition specialist. So those are things I do like to incorporate when I'm coaching people, because it does start with the body. If we can't get the body in alignment, if we can't get the body in the ultimate health, it is really hard to do what we need to do on a spiritual level. I'll leave you with that. Have a great rest of your day. Much love, and I'll see you next week.